Sup guys, this is Tearless here, and we are back inside the heart of Azeroth, and I would love to bring you one of my absolute favorite new specializations in World of Warcraft Legion, and that is Enhancement Shaman. This is absolutely, definitely in that category of two-thirds of specs that have been just changed so dramatically you really won't recognize them. You're going to recognize a lot of spell icons and so forth, but Enhancement Shaman has changed as much as Outlaw Rogue, as much as Survival Hunter. It is completely different from how it used to play, and it is a lot of fun. It is one of my absolute favorite melee classes now in the game. So, this will be a two-video series. We will be looking at in the first video, we will be looking at the artifact weapon and the removed, changed, and new abilities for an Enhancement Shaman. And then in the second video, we'll be looking at the brand new PvE and PvP talents for an Enhancement Shaman. So, the first major change, before I get into everything, I'm going to be going in a removed, changed, new order in terms of revealing the abilities or changes to abilities, and then from there I will look at the artifact weapon. But before we get started on that, I do have to explain this one thing. And this I predicted happening right when Warlords of Draenor started. Blizzard really wanted to crack down on specs that really didn't have to worry about a resource ever. And one of those, I mean, there were several of them. One of them being, or two of them being, both Elemental and Enhancement Shamans. You never had to worry about that. They started to correct that in Warlords of Draenor with balanced druids and giving them the, having to deal with the back and forth flow of the lunar and solar. They also corrected it with Ret Pallies a while back by giving them holy power to deal with. So they've been progressively working on this, and so now this time around it is the shaman's turn to actually have something that will, that they have to work on. And their Maelstrom, which is what their new kind of resource is, works very similar to the astral power of a balanced druid. I just realized this now when looking at them, but the two new mechanics that are in this game, Astral Power and Maelstrom Power, or yes, I believe it's called, or it's just called Maelstrom, function exactly very close to the same. Not very much different at all not much difference at all between them. And so, as I start going through the abilities, you'll see what generates Maelstrom Power and then what will expend Maelstrom Power. But that will come as I start to get into the changed abilities and new abilities, and there's a lot of all of them. A lot of removed abilities, a lot of changed abilities, a lot of new abilities. So let's go ahead and get started so that we're not here for too long. The removed abilities. This is going to hit you pretty hard, and you're going to start understanding just how radically changed the Enhancement Shaman has become. And really, this is Shamans in general, or at least Elemental and Enhancement Shamans. But they have lost they have lost Ascendance. This is the first ability that they have lost. All Shamans have lost this, but it comes back as a PvE talent. So it is something that you can retain as a PvE talent, and we will talk about that in the next video. Capacitator Totem has been removed. It comes back as a talent with a much more bland name. I don't know why they changed the name. But it has been removed as a baseline ability, and it is now a talent. Chain Lightning has been removed from Enhancement. It is now Elemental and Restoration Shamans only. Elemental, Earth Elemental, and Fire Elemental, they've been removed. The totem has been removed from the name. Blizzard is kind of cracking down on totems. In fact, as an Enhancement Shaman, you're going to see little, if not zero, totems in an Enhancement Shaman's kit, which is a little different because Blizzard always talked about how totems were the hallmark of Shamans, and they need to be there. Well, now it seems like they feel like it's the hallmark of Elemental casting Shamans. Enhancement Shamans, you have no business having totems, and so you're going to see most of your totems removed. So Earth Elemental Totem and Fire Elemental Totem, even though they have been converted into just Earth Elemental and Fire Elemental, they are now Elemental Shaman specific abilities now. They have no relation to Enhancement. Earthbind Totem has been removed. It is no longer available. I know this really hurts for PvP Enhancement Shamans. Just bear with me as we get through this. You'll start to understand how things have changed, and you'll start to piece together the possibilities of what this brand new spec brings from you. It's a brand new spec, and it only returns in name and a lot of icons, I guess you could say. We have a Fire Nova has been removed. Blizzard did not like using Fire Nova as an AoE tool, and I kind of agree. And I believe for the most part, as we look through these abilities, your AoE damage is actually they come through cleaves, I think. We will go through them and you will see, but for the most part, Fire Nova or anything that's just based just like a straight AoE, like a ground targeted or anything along the lines of what Fire Nova would, is gone. Flame Shock is gone. It is now Elemental and Resto. It has been removed. Frost Shock is gone, and that is Elemental only as well. So once again, bear with me, Enhancement Shaman PvPers. You are not left behind. We'll get to everything as we get through this. Grounding Totem has been removed from every spec. I believe it comes back as a PvP talent, an honor talent, though not as a I think that's Restoration that only receives it as a PvP talent. So possibly Elemental, but Restoration does indeed receive it as a PvP talent. But it is gone from Enhancement completely. Healing Rain, which was Restoration, has been removed. A kind of version of it returns as a talent. We will get to that in the next video. Healing Stream Totem has been removed, also Restoration only. Magma Totem, Searing Totem have been removed. You're starting to get the theme here. Totems are just gone for Enhancement Shamans. Shamanistic Rage, once again, just like Grounding Totem and Frost Shock and Earthbind. Just take it easy, PvPers. I do believe you will be in great shape because I've been having fun with an Enhancement Shaman. So they have been removed from the game. Magma Totem, Searing Totem, Shamanistic Rage has been removed. Totemic Recall has been removed. I mean, you got no totems to recall anyway, so why do you need Totemic Recall? Tremor Totem has been removed. Unleash Elements has been removed. Maelstrom Weapon, the ability, has been removed. So everything you know about Maelstrom Weapon has been removed. And this is huge. This was like, you know, kind of like the base of what you did as an Enhancement Shaman was Maelstrom Weapon. You know, after, you know, we had the great run with Wind Fury just proccing all over the place and dealing stupid amounts of damage. Maelstrom Weapon became kind of its replacement. Now Maelstrom Weapon as an ability is gone. Its name still lives on, but it's under a new name now. I mean, it has new ability now. Enhanced Weapons has been removed. That was kind of the replacement for, you know, Frostbrand. You know, when you like enhanced your own weapon, that was kind of the replacement. Enhanced Weapons, that's been removed as well, so that's gone. Flurry has been removed, gone. Grace of Air, which was just a static buff. All of those have been removed across the board, so that's gone. Lightning Strikes has been removed, and then lastly, Nature's Guardian has been removed. I do believe that is the most abilities lost for any class in the game, and yet I do believe that the action bar for an Enhancement Shaman is still one of the more fuller ones. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the changed abilities, starting with Ancestral Spirit. First, its cast time has been reduced by a second, and it no longer costs any mana. If you'll notice in the top left hand corner that even though Maelstrom is my brand new kind of resource, it still has my mana bar there. There are still some things that cost mana, and it will cost a ton, so you have to be really careful on what you decide to use as mana, but it's still there. The next changed ability is Astral Recall. It now has a 10-minute cooldown, down from 15 minutes. I can't remember if this was an enhancement that was given in Warlords of Draenor or not. I did not check those before I started into this, but it is now 10 minutes baseline for sure in this instead of 15 minutes. Bloodlust no longer has a range restriction. It had a 100-yard range restriction before. That has now been removed from the game. Feral Spirits, so an iconic ability for Enhancement Shamans. they've been changed just slightly. Its duration has been decreased from 30 seconds down to 15 seconds, so it's now more of a burst damage buff because it now generates 5 Maelstrom per attack, which is going to become useful as you start to see how things have changed. Ghost Wolf will no longer cost any mana, and you cannot drop below 100% movement speed. That's another talent or enhancement that I can't remember. It's in the game somewhere on live, but it is now baseline with Ghost Wolf in World of Warcraft Legion. Healing Surge, this is a little bit different. Healing Surge generally will cost mana, and it costs a lot of mana. Right now it costs 60,000 mana, and as you saw, it took about 20% of my bar right there. It took a ton. So it's going to cost a lot. However, there's a change in Healing Surge in that it will consume 20 Maelstrom to become instant if the Maelstrom is there. The only thing I don't like about this is I don't have control over whether or not I want it to be instant or not. But considering how much mana it costs, I'm not really going to complain too much about trading off 20 Maelstrom for not knocking off a quarter of my bar. So I'm okay with that. Next we have Hex. Hex's cooldown has been reduced from 45 seconds to 30 seconds, so a 15 second knockoff of the cooldown on Hex there, which is really nice. Lava Lash has been changed. It now costs 30 Maelstrom instead of mana, no longer costs mana. Its cooldown has been removed, and it no longer spreads Flame Shock. So, considering that it costs Maelstrom now, and Maelstrom is more of a finite resource than what it's more of a finite resource than what mana is. Mana, like, you never had a problem with. They were able to take the cooldown off of it, and so that's why it no longer has a cooldown. Lightning Bolt is now instant cast, no matter what. Okay, it is always instant cast. I can target right there and fire it off. You can see the new spell visual animation that they have for this. Now, Blizzard is going to be updating ranged spell animations. That is their next goal. First, they were working on melee spell animations, and now they're working on, they're going to start working, I think, through the course of World of Warcraft Legion, they're going to start working on ranged spell animations, and really, Elemental Shamans were the first, and so Enhancement Shamans are kind of getting the benefit of that, and you can see that kind of just spark of a lightning bolt here. And I can fire it off as much as I want. It does 7,000 damage, which is really kind of trivial. But it's got a 40-yard range now instead of a 30-yard range, so it's been increased, and it costs no mana, costs no Maelstrom, so it's a way to do damage if you can't quite catch back up to your opponent. Storm Strike has been changed. It now costs 40 Maelstrom instead of mana. So once again, it's a little bit different from Lava Lash. However, its cooldown has been increased from 6.2 seconds to 15 seconds. So whereas Lava Lash is basically restricted by the amount of Maelstrom you have, Storm Strike instead is going to be restricted by a cooldown more so because it hits hard. So that is something that's a little bit changed. And you should also know that Storm Strike no longer empowers nature damage spells. So it's just a heavy hitting ability. That's what it does. Water Walking no longer costs any mana. Just a little note there. Wind Shear has had its range increased from 25 yards to 30. Another quick little note there. And then lastly, there's a change to Mastery Enhanced Elements. First off, your damage increase has been reduced. I don't know the exact percentage. I do know that my lower level, much lower level Shaman, I believe it was level 90 Shaman on live, had about, was able to do like 48% increased damage with the mastery that she had. And then on this character, I'm only able to do 26 increased Fire, Frost, and Nature damage. So there's definitely a reduction in how much damage you deal with enhanced elements. However, it increases the chance for Stormbringer and Wind Fury to proc by 3.26%. So that is what really matters with enhanced elements. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that they just didn't change it completely and say forget the increase, flat damage increase, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do change that in the future. But I'm surprised they didn't get rid of that and just make it, deal with the trigger. And those two abilities that you don't know, I know you've heard Wind Fury before. Stormbringer's brand new. It's one of the new abilities. We're going to get into it starting right now because that was the last of the changed abilities. So first off, we have Astral Shift. Astral Shift was a talent. It is now a baseline ability. So, Enhancement Shaman, you lost a lot in terms of PvP. You're gaining a little bit back here. 1.5 minute cooldown, shift partially into elemental planes, taking 40% less damage for 6 seconds. There you go. See the spell visual for it. You kind of go into a ghost form. Pretty nice. Second new ability, Crash Lightning. First, you electrocute all enemies in front of you, dealing 36,000 nature damage. Hitting 2 or more targets enhances your weapons for 10 seconds, causing Storm Strike and Lava Lash to also deal 15,000 nature damage to all targets in front of you. So I hope you see this is starting to kind of show how the AoE is going to work as an Enhancement Shaman. So I'm going to go up here and show this for you. And actually I'm kind of disappointed because they actually brought down the spell visual of this. The spell visual of this used to be awesome. For some reason, my second artifact weapon is not showing up, and I've been having this. I think this is a bug on live because it's there. It's called Fury of the Stone Mother. Your first one here is Doomhammer, which you get. Thrall somehow loses his Doomhammer, and we have to go search for it. But in this here, we actually get it back. So let me get out of combat, which I believe I should be out of combat by now. Here, this will tell me for sure if I'm out of combat, if I can switch talents. Yep. And so we'll go ahead and we will take the weapon off and then put it back on and see if we can get it back. There it is. Get it back. There we go. There's the other one. So here you can see the artifact weapon. You got Doomhammer and one hammer and this legit fire just flaming thing on our right hand. It's really cool. So let's go up here and attack this again so you can see just how it's going to work here, and we'll see both of them attack, and then we're going to use Crash Lightning, and there it is, and it just has lightning crash from the sky down on the target. It's really cool. They used to leave kind of like a lightning field on the ground. It no longer does that anymore, but it used to at one point. It was really cool, and actually it may do that if I have enough targets in range. So if I have multiple targets in range in which I was able to pull off the AoE component of this, but I do not have that right here. So that is Crash Lightning. The second new ability, Flame Tongue Weapon. Sound familiar? Flame Tongue Weapon is back. It used to be kind of part of the what was enhanced weapons. It automatically granted Flame Tongue to your offhand because that was, the basic. Well, that's no longer the case. Flame Tongue Weapon now is actually an ability you use. It is an 11.1 second cooldown. It scorches your target, dealing 26,000 fire damage, and enhances your weapons with fire for 16 seconds, causing each weapon attack to deal up to 1,200 fire damage based on weapon speed. So it sounds very much like the old Flame Tongue, except for now it's a buff that lasts for only a short amount of time. I just got procs galore right there. But as you can see in the top right hand corner, it says I have Flame Tongue, okay? And so that is, the buff that I have there. So that brings me into the next new ability, and that is called Frostbrand, another very familiar ability. So Frostbrand is back. It chills your target, dealing 25,000 frost damage, and enhances your weapons with frost for 15 seconds, causing each weapon attack to reduce the target's movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds. So this all sounds very familiar, okay? These are coming back. They're just being applied in a different way. So before you buffed your weapons, you could only have that type of certain buff there. And now you're actually going to be able to have them both. So I can have both Frostbrand and Flame Tongue on as a buff on me. It's a buff on me at the same time, okay? And then as you see, as we'll go through this, I'll still have all the buffs of the other weapons with me at the same time. Now do notice that Flame Tongue has an 11.1 second cooldown, but it costs nothing. However, Frostbrand has a 20 Maelstrom cost, and that's why it has no cooldown. Another cool thing that you guys should take note is that while Crash Lightning is a melee range ability, the two branded weapons actually have a 10-yard range. So your sticking power as a enhancement shaman, you now have a 10-yard range on the ability to slow people down, which is pretty cool. I really do like that. So, with that being said, let's look into the next one that should be familiar, which is Rock Biter. Assaults your target with earthen power, dealing 42,000 nature damage, and generates 13 maelstroms. So this is another maelstrom generator. So you're able to generate maelstrom out of this. And so if I burn through all of my maelstrom, if I can stop the procs from happening, and bring it all the way down, then I can use Rock Biter weapon to bring it up. And you can listen to the nice sound effects that are coming out of Rock Biter weapon now. It's really nice. And this does a lot of damage. So, Rock Biter weapon, you can spam as much as possible. It's not supposed to do that much damage. I have a feeling that the numbers are going to be tweaked right here because I think 42,000 nature damage is overload in how much damage it should be doing. It absolutely makes no sense that it's dealing so much damage with that. I mean, the other abilities are fine. Frostbrand is supposed to be a buff, and so is Flame Tongue, so it's okay for that damage to be lower, but they just have to make sure that Rock Biter weapons damage is, you know, significantly lower enough compared to something like Lava Lash, or something like Storm Strike. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the spell visual on Lava Lash here. As you can see right there, really nice spell visual. You get that little flame showing up, as you can see there. Now, notice it's not going to show up here. It only shows up when Flame Tongue is active. So you can actually see what the buff actually is. Oh, I was wrong. I could have sworn that it always showed up when Flame Tongue is active, but I'm wrong. That is just what it is. I'm not quite sure what the extra little flame is from. I cannot tell you at the moment. It may be from a proc from either Doomhammer or from Doomhammer, the artifact weapon, or it could come from a talent that I have. I'll have to look into that, and you'll hear about that either at the end of this video or in the next section. But it has beautiful spell visuals. Once again, if you have forgotten, that Flame Tongue does, Flame Tongue will make your Lava Lash stronger and more powerful, which is really nice. And my weapon keeps disappearing here. I do believe it is a bug. It shouldn't keep disappearing. It should always be there. It shows it somewhat here, kind of disappearing. It's just a graphical bug at the moment. You can see the Enhancement Shaman next to me. He still has it working just fine. And then one thing I did not show was Storm Strike, so let's go ahead and take a look at it here so you can see what it does. There's my weapon back again. Right there, you can see Storm Strike happen. You can see also the bolts of the earthen bolts that we're having come out of the ground and attack the target at the same time. These are buffs that we will get into as we start getting into the talent trees and into the artifact weapons. So, with that being said, let's go ahead. We still have more abilities to go through that are brand new. So first is Maelstrom Weapon. As I said earlier, Maelstrom Weapon, the old ability is gone. Its name remains, but it is different. So Maelstrom Weapon, each time you deal damage with a melee weapon, you generate 5 Maelstrom. So this is how I was able to generate Maelstrom in the beginning without even using Rock Biter weapon, was just to sit there auto-attacking, and then all of a sudden my Maelstrom starts generating up. The next new ability is called Stormbringer. It is a passive. Each of your main hand attacks has a 6% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to cost 50% less Maelstrom and trigger no cooldown. So that's 50% less Maelstrom basically is a 20 Maelstrom attack, and you've seen it proc a few times. Let's see if I can get it to proc again. Sometime around here, hopefully it will. The same proc for Stormbringer is the one that is from Maelstrom Weapon. So there you can see it right there. Stormbringer is up there, and I'll go ahead and use it right there. And that is basically, so whatever the old Maelstrom Weapon is now the new Stormbringer. So that spell visual icon you need to kind of ingrain into your head. It has been changed. It is now used for Stormbringer. So, next new passive, Stormlash. When your weapons are enhanced, Your attacks have a chance to grant Storm Lash up to 3 party or raid members for 8 seconds, causing attacks and spellcasts to deal additional nature damage. So this is pretty difficult to show. But basically it's saying that once my Flame Tongue is up, or my Frost Brand is up, if both of them are up, or just one of them, I have a chance to grant a buff to my nearby allies that will deal extra nature damage to everything. I have Storm Lash right now. And you can see I kind of raise my fist in the sky when I actually get it. Let's see if we can get that to activate one more time. There we go. There's Storm Lash right there. It kind of looks like me actually putting an old lightning shield on myself. And you can see it kind of rotating around me. That is Storm Lash. The last new ability is called Wind Fury. Wind Fury should sound very similar to you, and it functions pretty much exactly the same. This is, at its root, the base of what enhanced weapons used to be. Each time your main hand attacks, it has a 6% chance to trigger 3 additional attacks, dealing 7,400 physical damage each. So that's Wind Fury for you right there. That's your good old Wind Fury that you guys know and love, and it's just a passive built into it. So I hope you guys are liking this so far. There's so many different ways to play with this new enhancement Shaman and building it up, and there's going to be all kinds of different priorities that you're going to need to know. There's different procs, and it's a lot of fun, and I love how the abilities all interact with one another. So there is definitely great potential here for an enhancement Shaman in World of Warcraft Legion. So that was a lot to go through. I know it was. So let's go ahead and take a look at the artifact weapon, which is Doomhammer. First we'll take a look at, I believe the first ability is Doom Winds. Let me make sure. Yes, it is. Okay. So Doomhammer is the artifact weapon, but let's go ahead and take a look at Doom Winds. Unleashes the inner power of Doomhammer, causing all auto attacks to trigger Wind Fury, and increases damage dealt by Wind Fury by 400% for 6 seconds. 45-second cooldown. So let's go ahead and just start attacking. Let's put my debuffs on the target, or the buffs on myself, and then we'll go ahead and use Wind, and you'll start seeing the damage really lash out. It's just a lot of fun. There's so many numbers popping up all over the place. It kind of reminds me of what it was like a long time ago with enhancement Shamans, and you were just, you were a flurry of attacks, of elemental attacks, and it was just a lot of fun as an enhancement Shaman. So I'm really excited for this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the artifact weapon, which is Doomhammer. And what I'll do is I'll start in the bottom right hand corner, the southeast corner, and I will go to the northwest corner. And remember, the epic portraits are the good ones. Those are the ones that you like the most. And we will progress through this. So you already know Doom Winds. Let's look at the first one. It's Hammer of the Storms. Increases the damage dealt by Storm Strike by 15%. Then we have Gathering Storms. Each target hit by Crash Lightning increases damage dealt by your next Storm Strike within 12 seconds by 6%. So that should appear on the target. So let's go ahead and get real quick Crash Lightning to appear. And as you can see in the top right hand corner, I have Gathering Storm. Damage of Storm Strike increased by 6%. And I even got a proc right there. I don't have enough Maelstrom. So there you go, right there, just like that. Next thing we have is Gathering of the Maelstrom. Rock Biter generates an additional 3 Maelstroms. So baseline it only generates 10. This talent brings it up to 3. And that's 3 ranks, so it's going to be 1 per rank. We have Wind Strikes. When Stormbringer resets the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike, you gain 10% attack speed for 3 seconds. So that's a nice one to have. That allows you to attack a lot faster. You're going to want those Stormbringer resets. Which basically means that if I were an enhancement Shaman, I think I would be prioritizing Mastery above all, because that's what's going to increase my procs. In the middle here, we have Wind Surge, increases the damage dealt by Wind Fury by 15%. Here we have Weapons of the Elements, increases the damage dealt by Flame Tongue, Rock Biter, and Frost Brand by 10%. And then in the middle here, we have Alpha Wolf. While Feral Spirits are active, Crash Lightning causes your wolves to attack all nearby enemies for 10 seconds. I'm not sure if that totem is close. is close enough, excuse me, to see that, but we can try. So I'm going to go ahead and activate them. As you can see, they're now flame wolves, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to activate Crash Lightning. And it looks like I'm a little too far for it to actually activate, but you can see the little AoE stomps that they have out of it, which is pretty cool. So that is the new kind of feral spirits, and they really do look nice. Let's look at these two epic abilities here now. First we have Unleash Doom. Storm Strike has a chance to unleash the power of Doomhammer, causing your special attacks to have molten lava or lightning spikes at your target for 25,000 fire or nature damage. So this is what you guys were seeing with the little strikes coming from kind of far away from the target. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me make sure I get the ability right. It's Storm Strike here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building this up and start using Storm Strike. So you can see one, you can see two of them right there just came into the target and attacked it. And I will continue to use that. And you can see them pop up out of the ground and they attack the target, and that is from that passive talent that is on Doomhammer. It just adds, honestly, it just adds more fun to the whole flavor of the class. You've got, I mean, you're an enhancement shaman that's summoning the elements to attack your target at melee range, which is really cool. So, back to the talent tree here. We have on the other end Doom Vortex. Lava Lash has a chance to cause Doomhammer to release a fiery tornado at your target's location, dealing 26,000 fire damage over 3 seconds to enemies within 3 yards. So I was correct about that as well. I did think it was actually a part of the interaction with Flame Tongue using Lava Lash while Flame Tongue was action. That is incorrect. That is actually a buff from Doomhammer. So that lava tornado that you saw just there, that is from the Doomhammer. So that's really cool. And they have some really cool spell visuals for you in World of Warcraft Legion here for an enhancement shaman. They really have done a great job in terms of melee spell visuals and sound effects, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the actual ranged classes and their spell effects. Here we have Forged in Lava, increases the damage dealt by Lava Lash by 10%. We have Spirit of the Maelstrom. While in combat in Ghost Wolf form, you generate 15 Maelstrom every 2 seconds. We have to test this because this is something that I have not seen before. So let's go ahead and bring up Ghost Wolf form. If I can even find it, you know, you'd think it should be easy considering everything's alphabetical. So we'll go ahead and get combat here, and then we'll pop into Ghost Wolf form. And the only problem is that it actually doesn't show your Maelstrom bar. It switched over to your mana bar. So maybe that's something Blizzard will look at, but I'm at 42 right now. Well, no, not quite. I'm at 52 right now. I'll jump into this form, and I'll jump out, and now I'm at 67. So it did pop 15 there. For it. If I waited just probably another second and a half longer, I would have gotten 30 out of it, or maybe combat ended in time. But that is definitely something that is very useful. On this top line here, first we have Storm Flurry. Storm Strike has a 30% chance to strike an additional time for 40% of normal damage. This effect can chain off of itself. That's really cool, so it can continue to chain. Spiritual Healing increases the healing done by Healing Surge by 30%, which reminds me, remember I said Healing Surge is instant if there's 20 Maelstrom active. As you can see right there, I was able to use it. However, it does still use mana. I just noticed that. So it will still use mana, but it'll be instant cast. So that's something, you know, to, you know, kind of take caution on, is that your mana pool is going to be very limited. And that is intentional. They really want you only to be careful of how much you use that mana. You're not going to be able to just sit there and spam heals like you could in the past, because you never had to worry about mana for anything. Here we have Elemental Healing. Activating Astral Shift heals you for 30% of your maximum health over 15 seconds, so there's some great survivability there. And then we have Raging Storms. When Stormbringer resets the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike, it also increases damage dealt by your next Storm Strike by 50%. This is great. And honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is the best talent tree I've ever seen of any artifact weapon. It's like they poured their heart and soul into this one. And then the rest were kind of like, we'll buff so-and-so damage by so much. But anyways, we have one last ability, and that is Doom Wolves. Doom Hammer imbues each of your feral spirits with fire, frost, or lightning, granting them an extra ability. So it's random, it seems. So let's go ahead and use feral spirits again. And this time, looks like we have a lightning one, and then an air one. Is that correct? A frost one and a lightning one. So your feral spirits will change and get an extra ability based on, this talent right here. That is really cool. Every single one of the epic passives that comes out of Doomhammer is really cool and adds a lot of fun to an Enhancement Shaman. Trust me when I say that this class is a lot of fun now. You will have some sticking power with the ability to actually attack from range with either lightning bolts, or when you get in close range you can start getting Frostbrand on the target to slow them down, and you will have more utility inside your PvE and PvP talents to help you even more. So trust me, the new Enhancement Shaman is awesome. I hope you guys love it. I very well may be bringing back my Shaman. I have not used my Shaman since Cataclysm, I think. Actually, I think I used it in Mists of Pandaria to go ahead and, Emperor Palpatine with the chain lightning all over the place in raids. But for the most part, I have not used my Shaman since Cataclysm, so I'm really excited, and I'm hoping to possibly bring it back in not Warlords of Draenor, in World of Warcraft Legion. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a lot of fun. Enhancement Shaman should be really good. I will see you guys in the next video where we will talk about the PvP and PvE talents of an Enhancement Shaman. So, I'll see you guys later. Teal us out.